home. Another match point.
Incredible third set here.
They changed their strategy a little bit and they fought their way back in.
There it is. Game, set, and match.
The Westchester Country Club in Rye, New York, bringing you the Westchester Classic with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsors, Volley and Corient. Tournament support has been provided by the following local sponsors: the Trip Bar, Rye, Paisano Ralph Lauren, Uline, Viking, Westchester Soccer Club, Xenon Paddle, and Yave Tequila. I am Patty Hogan with the country's #1 ranked player, Macy Elliott, bringing you semifinal action here today with Flor Hanisch and Anna Zubori versus Vera Bessonova and Anya Buiukian. Welcome, Macy.
How are you, Patty?
I'm doing great. How fun is this? We got courtside seats here, calling a match.
Yep, courtside seats. We're looking at it both on the screen, and I've got the match here right in front of me. And I believe we have new leggings from Anna Zubori and Flor Hanisch. I really like these ones. They're shimmery.
That's a great shot.
That's
right
a great
there.
Yep. So we've got a shot of Flor Hanisch warming up her overheads. And Flor is the director of tennis at Somerset Hills in the summers. And her partner, Anna Zubori, hitting overheads, is the director of rackets at the Country Club of New Canaan. With the pink shoes. And now we've got Vera Bessonova, who is the assistant pro at Short Hills Club in Summit, New Jersey. And then we've got Anya Buiukian with the cute pose. She is the assistant pro at the Canoe Brook down in Summit, New Jersey as well. These matches are going to be all main draw matches in this tournament are regular scoring, best 2 out of 3 sets. With the back draw matches are regular scoring and a 10-point for the third set tiebreak.
Okay, and for those at home, Bessonova. I've heard it's pronounced both ways, Macy. So anyway, here we have Hanisch and Zubori. You know, undoubtedly one of the best teams in our era of paddle, and currently the #2 ranked team in the country, because none other than you and Lynn Burrs, 2-time defending national champs. You guys are at top, undisputed at top of the women's game here. You guys are sitting out this tournament, and here we have Hanisch Zubori in, you know, a match that, you know, if we were betting people, which we're not, Macy.
We're not, no.
And you gave me $500. $500 to bet. I might bet it all on Hanisch Zubori. You know, national champions, a great team, great talent individually and together, just so solid. You know, it's going to be Buiukian and Bessonova. In order for them to win this match, besides playing the best paddle they ever played, what else has to happen?
I mean, Flor Hanisch has established herself as one of the top players in this game over the last several years. It doesn't, you know, she's been playing with Anna Zubori for I would say it's almost 4 years now. But even before that, she played with Annika Cooper, and she won a national title with her. So they are going to have to deal with the brilliance that Flor Hanisch brings to the table. She's an amazing, very smart player, very calculated. Her go-to saying is calibrate, and she does that in all of her matches. So, you know, Vera and Anya, that's Bessonova and Buiukian, they're going to have to try to, you know, go with the ebbs and flows, and there's going to be times where they're going to be outplayed. That's just going to happen because of how good Hanisch and Zubori are, and they're going to have to hang in through those times and then see if they're going to be able to fight through this match.
Macy, unlike most players, you know, here we see Bessonova, Buiukian, they started playing tour matches each year. They've had some steady improvement the last couple years. You were a freak of nature in that, your second complete season or your first complete season, you won nationals with Marcela Redesno. An incredible win, outstanding play, where most people have to work their way, potentially.
Women's match, best sets of 3 with a tie break. On our right, we have from Watchung, New Jersey, Florentina Hanisch, and her partner from Norwood, Connecticut, Anna Maria Zubori. And to my left, from Summit, New Jersey, Vera Bessonova, and her partner, also from Summit, New Jersey, Anya Buiukian.
Bessonova is going to lead off the action here, serving over to Flor Hanisch, who will be playing that deuce court.
Let's see.
And Bessonova, Buiukian, Macy, you saw them play out at Charities, and I think that was the only tournament they played together this year, and they got to the quarters, I believe you said?
15
Yes, they did. They ended up, they lost to Halbauer Jackson, but in a 3-set barn burner. They had a great match against them and just came up short at the end. This is a big serve we have from Bessonova right off the gate.
Yeah.
She's really using her legs and jumping into the serve.
15
It'll be interesting to see the position, because I haven't watched them. I've seen their matches, but I haven't watched them play intently and see how their positioning is at net, and if it's going to be broken down by the Flor Hanisch lob that is famous in our sport.
Right. A great shot of Bessonova, really tall woman, beautiful strokes. Her weapon, she loves that forehand off the deck at the deuce court. I did see them play one match in Chicago, and they were experimenting with switching courts, going side to side. But I think with these two, having Vera's big forehand coming out of that deuce court and returns and during play, she really makes you pay a price for that cross-court overhead.
Wow,
that
great
gets
return
hit.
by Hanisch. And that's the one danger with the big serve on the deuce side, right? If you don't get it just perfectly, then it does come out and it ends up being a screen drive for your opponent. And it actually gets you into more trouble than it helps you.
When you said you'll be curious about their positioning at the net, because that's where Flor Hanisch
will break it down.
So, Macy, what I was alluding to earlier is you never were an underdog in the sport, from what I recall. You just went right to the top. And, for most people, when you're underdogs, and, they're huge underdogs here, I think it's critical to just, go back to the most fundamental thing. Play every shot, one point at a time.
Exactly.
One game at a time. And, if the last game you only got 1 point, make sure in the next game you do whatever you can to even get 2 points. And they just have to start, putting some scoreboard pressure on Zubori and Hanisch.
Right. And also having the belief. Having the belief in yourself that you can do it. Anna Zubori to serve. She usually starts out for that team. She has an amazing, amazing serve. So one thing I think it's interesting that Buiukian and Bessonova are playing on their sides, Bessonova on the deuce side and Buiukian on the ad side, because Anya's staple shot or go-to shot, she has an amazing backhand, and Bessonova has an amazing forehand, so they have their big strengths. There it is, yeah. There it is on the outside versus on the inside. A lot of teams say try to place their best shots on the inside, and they've definitely placed their strengths on the outside. And you see what we're talking about with the serve to the deuce side just there. Zubori is able to get enough spin on the ball, and she's not hitting too much of the ball where her serve kind of dies on the back screen, and Bessonova can't really tee off on it. She can drive it, but it's not going to be a complete tee off.
So that's Zubori with the pink sneakers hitting the overhead. Far side goose court, Bessonova. Far side ad court, Buiukian. And the one and only Floor Hanisch, right side in our near screen.
Oh, great volley.
30-all.
That's the thing. I'll be curious to the shot selection from that ad court from Buiukian. You know, if she pulls the trigger, like we know Floor is pretty wise up there at the net, and you could see she was just waiting for her on that drive.
Yeah, she was right for that volley. Didn't matter.
40-30.
And Buiukian has a lot of athletic ability, a lot of quickness. She likes to set herself. You know, she loves that two-handed backhand that you referred to, and you know she needs a shot or two off the on the forehand side to take advantage of it. She just doesn't have a lot of confidence with that shot yet.
Yeah, I think I was telling someone the other day, I think we would like to see a lot more of Buiukian on this live stream because she is a very good player, and I think that she just hasn't necessarily been seen on live stream quite enough yet, and she will be. One all. Now it's getting serious.
That's right.
Now it's getting serious. Taking the pullover off.
Beautiful day, Westchester Country Club. I see the parking lot is full. Big crowd. It's such a paddle loving crowd in this part of the country.
Oh yeah, this club is beautiful. And for those who haven't watched it, Zubori will do that, right? Zubori has these amazing shots, and she might miss a couple, but she's going to make so many more, and that's her style, to be free and to make these amazing shots. How many behind the backs or tweeners do you think we're going to see today, Patty?
Over under 5. What do you think? Which side?
I was going for 2.5. But
okay. Okay. So you'll take the under.
I will take the under then. Yes.
Because this could be a match where if there's separation, it could bring out all sorts of things.
If I had to pick a number, I'm picking 4.
Excellent bet.
We'll see.
Wise woman.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Why would you say 2?
30.
Macy, what overheads must players have to compete against the best women in the game?
30-all.
Push overheads, which is probably the answer that everyone wouldn't be expecting, but you have to have good push overheads, because if you just hit everything short, then all the best women are going to tee off on everything, and then you're going to be stuck running from balls. But you need to be able to hit push overheads effectively, and I think it's probably the most underrated shot, because it's not a fun shot necessarily to practice, but it's very effective.
So in the big pie, if we have the big pie, and it's Macy Elliott, her overheads, in a match against Zubori and Hanisch, what percent of your overheads would you say you hit as push overheads, typically?
I think you can give it at least 50% or push overheads.
Yep.
I think that's.
And then what are the overhead?
It's a fair answer.
Yeah.
Fair answer. You could do, say, probably 50% or push overheads, really in any match, right? 50% are push overheads. You got at least another 25% of them are rollers, and then you got 25% of down up overheads. And people have always asked me, what do I mean by down up overheads? It means it goes short, right? And then it's a short overhead that then goes to the screen if you're hitting it correctly, right? You don't want to be hitting down up overheads that don't go to the screen.
And Zubori's got that little low slash slider overhead as well. That, and the advantage of, well, you tell me, you're number 1 in the country. What's the advantage of having so much overhead variety?
Because then your opponents don't know what's coming, right? And I like how you say, but Patty, you national champion status, Patty. You've been around this game way more than me. I think the variety on the overheads is one. You have different options in order to address different opponents, right? see what your opponents like and what they don't like. And then second, that way your opponents don't get into a rhythm. If you give them the same overhead every time, regardless of if it's an amazing overhead or not, eventually good players are going to get used to it. And so you have to be able to change it up and be unpredictable.
Okay, and a club level player, let's say starting out, and you've taught them the push technique. What overhead would you do next with them? I get a lot of women who ask me, like, and I said, the top players use the push way more than you really think they do.
Right. Well, I mean, club level players, I think, especially when we're talking a little more along the lines of the beginner level, they need to get comfortable hitting to the side screen early on. Because a lot of times the club level players hit, they hit down up overheads and everyone thinks to go to the corner, right? But then it ends up getting blocked by the opponents versus, especially people who don't come from a tennis background, they don't have that instinctual pronation in their hand to pronate and get behind the ball in order to get it all the way to the side screen, especially on the ad side for righties. So I think something to practice early on is say, okay, if you're in the fun zone, which the fun zone, when I say that, I refer to, the front third of the court, basically exactly where Buiukian and Bessonova are standing right now. They're kind of one step in front of the service line. There and in front is the fun zone where you should be trying to go for more angles because you can see it, right? So they need to, even club level players, go for the side screens, make your opponents hit off, sides and side backs. And then if you're behind that, you hit push overheads. Do you agree, Patty, or no? What do you think?
I agree with everything you ever say, Macy. Yeah,
we should do this more often.
Oh, totally. Yeah, hitting that side screen, particularly when we get the right shot to show when you see the team at the net and you're looking at the team and they're looking through the net, the player to the left has to be able to get that ball into that side panel on that ad court corner in order to really hold serve and the whole game comes from that. But you're right, you don't get a lot of people who haven't played with a tennis background who even you talk about pronation, huge footwork, paddle preparation, all the things have to come together. That's where it's a great shot of Zubori. I do love watching her hit her overheads where she has that paddle way back and then she just kind of uncoils.
Yeah, and Zubori's been doing more of those cuts over into the deuce side recently this season. It's been super effective.
I think it's a really good shot.
It's a very good shot that I think I'm going on to say she's the only woman who does that at this point in time.
She's the only one I see who, right, I think people have the shot. I don't see them utilize it as much as it can be utilized. And the advantage is the ball stays down so low, and it's almost impossible to hit a good lob off of it.
Interesting that we have a formation here. As we usually see, we see Hanisch Zubori. Usually they end up in this formation. They find a way to get Zubori on the left because of her amazing overheads and Hanisch on the right. And maybe that formation was just to expedite that process.
Game, Hanisch Zubori. Hanisch Zubori lead 3 games.
Flor Hanisch, she was right on top of the net there, hitting volleys. It's a testament. I know when she plays mixed nationals, I believe that's the formation that her and her husband Martin do. They have her on top of the net, and he's hitting a bunch of overheads, and she is closing the net with the volleys. So she's very comfortable there. And
you see that formation. You see it work for them. It doesn't work so well for the average player.
It's not. It's one of those, maybe try this at home. Maybe don't. It's very difficult.
15-30.
And so how Bessonova there have her serving sting back. I wonder if she's going to do it on this side. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, this is the game of the set, I think. Vera Bessonova held that first game of the match.
Correct.
And obviously Buiukian got broken. And this is a monster moment because 20 minutes into this match, if you had told me the score was, 5-0, Zubori Hanisch, number 2 team in the country, it wouldn't have surprised me. So I'm thrilled for Buiukian and Bessonova that they're out here. Like they checked in when they started this match. You could see they had a great mindset, and
So
the
here,
mindset
look.
that you know,
Look at that.
don't miss. Keep the ball in play. Keep the ball in play.
So I want everyone to see that. You see how Bessonova is like serving and staying back on that deuce side because her forehand is so good. And so she'll do that. I was lucky I got to play with her at Baltimore last season. And she'll do that where she'll serve and stay back and say, here, I dare you to hit it to me because I'm just going to hit a rocket forehand right back at you.
And Macy, some people like playing from the baseline better than playing at the net. Some
Exactly.
teams are better net teams. Some
Correct.
teams are better baseline teams.
Correct.
30.
Speaking of that, are Zubori and Hanisch a better net team or baseline team?
Game. Bessonova.
You can answer it after you do a
3-2.
commercial read.
I was going to say, I was ready for
You go, Macy.
I was ready, Patty. I was ready.
Hanisch Zubori leads
We've got
3 games to 2 in the first
and talk about our sponsor Volley. You know, looking to lower your PTI. The secret's out. Early adopters are already leveling up with Volley's AI-powered trainers, and they're leaving the competition behind. Don't get left in the dust. Download Volley now at www.getvolley.com or search Volley Racket in your app store. I think Floor Hanisch uses the Volley machine a lot, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So are Hanisch Zubori better net team or better baseline team? Hard for you to say because you're
It
a rival for sure, but you appreciate their excellence.
That really is hard for me to say. I think that they're good on both. I would probably say I think I maybe net team. If I
Okay.
had to pick because Zubori has some of the best overheads in the game. But it's hard to pick because they're so good at both. A lot of serving and staying back in this match.
30.
And we finally have a little bit of a colder day here at the Westchester Classic. We've had a very warm paddle season so far. And, you know, even though it looks sunny, at least it's finally a little chillier than it has been.
It's a big day for APTA tournaments all around the country. Besides Westchester, we have the men's and women's tour event going on today. We also have a men's challenger tournament going on here. We've got the Bourbon Ball down in Louisville, Kentucky. I know you're sorry you didn't go to that one, Macy.
I know. My mother actually gave me a hard time on that one. She said finally there was a tournament close to home. I decided not to play it.
How far is that from Evansville, Indiana? Am I right?
It's about an hour and a half from Evansville, Indiana. And my mom, Kathy Elliott, I'm sure she is tuning into all this action. She has gotten very, very excited and into the paddle scene. She loves watching the live stream.
Oh, well, hi to Macy's mom. We're glad you're watching.
This might be the first weekend she's not yelling at the TV for one reason or another, but
That's right.
still enjoying the action.
All right, so we're at 3-all.
3-3.
3-3 first set, and one more shout out. There's one other great tournament going on. The Games on the James is taking place down in Richmond today. And one quick shout out, Macy. Last weekend we had the APTA Men's PTI 20 Plus Nationals. The winners were Ben Hirsch, Tyler Palin. Congrats, guys. And the finalists were Keegan O'Brien and Riley Wilton. It's a great thing about
Congratulations.
platform tennis, PTIs. There's something for everyone, and everyone can play for a national title, not just the Macy Elliots of the world.
Love.
Wow.
Just a phenomenal start to this match for Buiukian and Bessonova.
Amazing.
Macy.
I always try to look through all these games. So Bessonova, Buiukian won both Bessonova serves, right?
Yep,
And then they also won Zubori's serve.
correct.
Okay. They lost Buiukian's serve last time round. They lost Hanisch's serve. And then there's one more.
Yeah, Buiukian was broken once and Zubori was broken once, I think.
Correct.
But you know what's interesting, Macy? I mean,
40-15.
Hanisch Zubori. I mean, in a way, I feel like they might be feeling pressure. You don't have to answer this question. They might be feeling a little pressure out here as the tournament #1 seed and overwhelming favorite to possibly be victorious throughout this whole tournament. You know, they
Buiukian
they look. This is a
leads
nervous start for them.
4-3 in the first set.
I honestly wouldn't even say it's a nervous start for them. I would say for them, they, the way that they play, they always tend to like to, feel out different things that they could possibly do. They kind of tend to explore as a team, or at least it tends to seem that way from the viewer's perspective. And, it looks like they're trying some new things and going for their shots. They're both smiling out there. I think that they're just developing through this match, and I don't even necessarily think that they look tight or nervous at all. I think they are not exactly where they want to be, but I don't think they're bothered by where they are.
They're just kind of they're just kind of feeling it out, and
I think
they
feeling
feel like
out,
they're in
just playing.
control.
I really do.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think Bessonova and Buiukian have been playing very smart here. Yep, big take by Buiukian, but she's got to take that. That's her bread and butter. She'll make that one next time.
Macy, you've worked hard in the game. Everybody's seen you develop. You have your first serve, as I call it, the one that you won nationals with. A little bit more of a push type of serve.
Correct.
And then you went big and developed a really good serve. So I see you going back and forth with your serves.
Mm-hmm.
What determines which kind of serve you're going to use, Macy Elliott?
I think a lot of it is dependent on, one, how we're feeling that day, and it's both me and Lynn, right? It's a joint team decision because she's the one up there having to deal with the volley as well. Not me.
You're so considerate.
I'm back there in the green. But then also it's if you're worried about placing the ball exactly where you want to place it, or if you're worried about, getting into the point. Someone was asking me earlier, what's the benefit of the push serve? And look, the push serve, it stays low and they have to drive the ball up high and you get into the point, which at the end of the day, how many points are we really winning off of a serve or off of a return? At this level, you're not winning a ton. Usually you bring a big serve, guess what? They get it back, you get into the point, and you don't have the determining factor of the point until 20 shots later. It doesn't matter. So just finding a way to get into the point and get going and do what you need to do.
That's a great point because we see so many players who, try to win points where basically you may give away a fault in a set, a fault or two, and maybe you miss a return or two in a set, but that's about all you can give up unless the team you're playing against makes more errors than you.
Otherwise, you're just giving Christmas presents all over the place.
That's right.
There's no need. Now, Patty, I've noticed that Bessonova, she is staying back deliberately, right, on the do side. And on the ad side, she is kind of coming in, kind of not coming in. Why do you think that might be? Think she's just more comfortable with the forehand on that do side since that's her side?
Well, I'm going to flip the question and let you answer it. Why would you do it differently against two different players?
See, this is how we know you're a veteran at this commentating thing, and I'm a rookie.
Redirect.
You redirected. My guess is that that's her side that she plays, and she is much more comfortable ripping the ball from that angle. That would be my guess. The other option it could be is that she feels very confident in her big serve on the ad side, and she feels that there's no need to really stay back on it. Or it could be option 3, as in I don't know anything.
We'll keep going for a couple more options. Macy, when you came over from tennis to platform tennis,
It's a great drive.
Hanisch Zubori
And see, that's what I was talking about, Patty. They
They
didn't look tight or nervous. They just,
Nah.
I think they're just playing.
yep. So Macy, when you started playing, and you came from tennis to paddle, do you remember? So you were told, okay, you serve, you run up to the net, so your serve and volley is one unit. Do you remember having an easier time figuring it out from one side versus the other side?
For the serving and volleying part?
Yes. Yeah.
No, actually, they both felt the same. It really wasn't I didn't really feel a difference. If I had to pick, I feel like the deuce side is a little trickier sometimes for righties, because the way the ball's coming into you, and you really kind of have to turn your body extra to make sure that it goes back into the deuce side. So if you served and came up and just faced directly to the back screen, the angle of the ball would pull it over to the ad side. And you have to direct your body kind of into the ball in order to go back to the deuce side. But then when you have a big serve like Zubori has right there, she doesn't have to worry about that first volley.
That's right.
Great lob. It's amazing when you see Zubori have her paddle back and she's ready for the cut overhead, and you're like, where is this going? It's going wherever Anna wants it to go.
Right. She is deceptive. She can keep her opponents, really kind of guessing longer than most people with her overhead, where she's going to hit the ball. Would you say that's true?
Oh, I say that's completely true. I'd say she's on the women's side. The female version of Chris Humphreys does that really well on the men's side. And I think she probably does that best out of all the women.
So Hanisch Zubori up. Anna Zubori serving up 5-4. First set. Westchester Classic.
Couple quick points bring us into a set point. Wow. That's first set with the waterfall by Hanisch.
We will be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel presented by Joho.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. We're here at the Westchester Classic in Rye, New York with semifinal action from women's event here between Anna Buiukian and Vera Bessonova up against the tournament #1 seeded team. But Flor Hanisch, Anna Zubori. Zubori and Hanisch won the first set 6-4. I'm Patty Hogan, and we're doing a tag team effort here today. Macy Elliott did a great job in the first set, and she has been relieved for the second set by her partner, the one and only Lynn Burris. Welcome, Lynn.
Hello, Patty. How's it going?
Hey, good. How about that first set for Buiukian Bessonova?
That was a great set. That was a great set. I love that they put up a good fight there.
How were they able, Lynn, What did they do well that kept them in that set?
I was really thinking I saw a couple of unforced errors from Hanisch Zubori, more than usual. I don't know if they're going for it more, but yeah, I don't know. It was kind of, I don't want to say weird, but it was more unforced errors than they usually make. Yeah.
Macy thought that they were totally comfortable, nothing to do with nerves or anything, just kind of, they were playing loose, messing around, and fairly confident that when they needed to tighten it up, they could.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of yes and no, because you can get yourself in that situation, you know, where I think it was they were they 3-1 up and then it was 3-all, and maybe were they 4-3 down or were they 4-3 up, Patty?
4-3 up.
They were 4-3 up. Okay, yeah. I thought they were 4-3 down for some reason, but I could be wrong.
I could be, and Lynn, I could be wrong. It won't be the first time today. Hey, while this match is going on, there's another semifinal going on, and we have Lopez and Page are out there battling a team who had the upset of the tournament so far. Sowers and Stein pulled off a huge win over Schneider Trulson in a 3-set thriller, 6-4, 3-6, 6-4. So Jenny Sowers.
Shout out to Jenny Sowers, Montclair Golf Club, representing.
Congrats on the semifinals on the APTA Tour. Sponsors and gets into the semis. What's better than that?
Only fitting, right?
40 love.
Lynn, when will we see Burris and Elliott's next appearance at an APTA Tour event?
Burris and Elliott are taking a little hiatus.
Okay.
40, 50.
Where
Okay.
Burris and
we will-
Elliott are enjoying life.
Okay.
outside
so
the cages.
No Detroit?
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. We are playing Detroit, yes.
Okay. Long Island?
So, Long
Okay.
Island, I will be playing with Michelle Ngube, who is Sven Burris's assistant at Essex Fells.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Hanisch Zubori lead 2 games to 0.
So this is the moment, Lynn, where you're Bessonova and Buiukian, and they started off. And they had a great game plan. They got a lot, they got into every point. They didn't hand over anything and, battled, had a couple breaks. And here they are, down 2-0, second set. We know Hanisch Zubori can steamroll. They can steamroll anyone almost as well as you guys always do. What do you say to Buiukian and Bessonova right here?
Patty, very curious on your thoughts on what you think about the switching from Hanisch and Zubori.
Oh, you don't
In
want
the
to answer
backcourt.
my question?
Oh, you asked a question?
I did. Usually, I'll ask a question, then you ask it.
I completely missed it.
Okay, good. Okay, so.
Ask it again. That's my bad.
I was saying that we're at a crucial point for Bessonova in this match. And they're in a big hole here, down a set, obviously, against number 2 team in the country who can steamroll opponents.
Right.
What has to be their mindset right here in this match? In this point in the set, down 2 games.
Your mindset at this point has to be, okay, what did we do well in that first set? What was working for us? We're just going to play solid, high percentage paddle. We're not going to go for a crazy amount, but we need to obviously dig ourselves out of this hole, which they can. And yeah, they got to cut out on any unforced errors and just be smart, make good choices.
And hope that Hanisch and Zubori, give them a few gifts like they did in that first set. That was a gift.
Correct. The commentary is pretty funny, the on-court commentary.
Lynn, how about a quick shout out to your members at Plainfield Country Club? I know they're enjoying listening to you this weekend. They like watching you better, I think, but I'm sure they're enjoying your
Shout out
commentating.
to all my peeps at Plainfield Country Club. I know Clarissa O'Hearn. Shout out to you. She was watching the men's
Clarissa
match.
always watching.
Die-hard paddle fan. All righty, we're on the board.
As good a time as any for a hold. That's what they needed. They They needed a sign of life right there.
Hanisch Zubori won the first set.
That's Flor Hanisch serving. And that's Vera Bessonova hitting the return out of that deuce court. She's got that big sweeping forehand, heavy forehand.
Amazing forehand. It's crazy to see what how tennis players can translate their tennis into paddle. You know, with the drives especially. Pretty awesome to see.
That Bessonova forehand. I mean, I know you can volley anything, Lynn, but does she hit as heavy a forehand as most women on the tour?
Absolutely. Her forehand is amazing. I feel like I would like to see her be more of a force with her forehand, though. Like,
Meaning?
I feel that sometimes she almost doesn't use it enough. Like, her forehand is really good, and I obviously know this from playing her and playing in exos or stuff against her, and she has an amazing forehand. I feel like she doesn't use it enough.
And I guess where you're going is just she's got to insert herself a little bit more
Correct.
in these matches, especially with Buiukian, who has that great two-handed backhand,
Right.
but not a forehand to write home about. And so if she could cheat over a little bit. It
Correct.
could, tempt opponents to give her some looks. And if she can cover the court, she'll get a lot of shots for herself. I
Right.
kind of agree. I'd love to see her insert herself a little bit more.
Right.
Speaking of Vera Bessonova, she teaches, as we said, over at Short Hills Club, which is one of our Grand Prix stops. One of our Grand Prix stops. We'll go through the schedule. Whoops.
One of the most fun tournaments on the calendar, in my opinion.
What a great tournament. They plan that event for a year out every year. They pull out all the stops. A great event, great club, Short Hills Club, phenomenal, really like a amazing membership, super supportive to all their pros and current pro. Chris Humphreys doing a wonderful job there. And he took over for Harry Walsh was there. Dave Broderick had a great run at Short Hills Club. One of the historic clubs on the paddle country landscape, and kudos to them. And we look forward every year to the Short Hills Invitational.
Oh, yeah. Look, I know they love to say, Chicago crew does it well and Philly does it well, but we got to give our Jersey folks some credit as well.
Jersey does everything well.
Jersey knows how to throw a good party.
Oh, yeah. And you've never even been to a Team Nationals party, Lynn. You don't know what you're missing.
I know, right? I am going to maybe start a petition to do Team Nationals earlier in the year. What do you think, Patty?
It's the holiday season. I shouldn't really start arguing about that. Well, having been involved from the beginning and being very involved with helping pull them off, it is so much work. It's a lot of work. And you need so many courts. And the great thing about April is it's not a court crunch on any of the clubs.
Right.
Jersey gives up their courts for so many tournaments. So once we get into that first weekend in April, we had 1,000 people play last year that first weekend. And the nice warm weather leads to like a really fun atmosphere, Lynn.
I hear you. I would love to play in Team Nationals, but, at that point, Sven and I are usually traveling. I think a lot of people a lot of pros are
well, the teaching
traveling
pros
at that point. Yeah.
Right.
So.
And, and the thing is, Lynn, that's the great thing about it. Team Nationals is designed for the every person, the common person, every single person who plays club paddle loves it. Whether your PTI's, 80, it doesn't really matter. We find a level and teams can compete and travel as a team, and it is so fun. It's really the most remarkable event of the year. And kudos to Mike Raleigh, who runs the show in Chicago, and he has from day one of our EPTA announcers. Great pro, great guy, and great tournament director of Team Nationals.
I think we're going to have to do a pro Team Nationals, Patty. What do you think?
Why not? But Mike Raleigh is just chiming in, Lynn. I don't think he's really entertaining an earlier schedule for Team Nationals to accommodate Team Burris. I think that maybe. I think you start your own.
I'm going to bring it up to the Players Committee. I'll have a chat with Andrew Ong once he's done playing.
Yeah, high priority item.
Shout out to Ashley Sorokin and Stacy Patterson, who are also tuning in from Plainfield Country Club. Stacy and Ashley are rock star C-team players who are absolutely crushing it right now in the New Jersey Women's Platform Tennis League. Shout out Stacy and Ashley.
Well, Lynn, at Nationals, as you know, a couple years ago, they introduced the Baird Cup and the Fulton Cup. And that's the idea of a team format taking over for what used to be the President's Cup, and then the President's Cup sort of changed into this Team Nationals. And it was just as our sport started growing and the number of players in our sport who at that point in time never played tournaments because they really didn't have tournaments that were appropriate for beginners, advanced beginners, low intermediate, mid-intermediate, et cetera, et cetera. So with the PTI now, it's exploded. That's why there's so many tournaments every weekend and something for everyone. And we're just sorry it's not for you guys that first weekend in April. And Mike Raleigh and I will retire right now if it gets moved. Greg Morgan will not allow it. Greg runs the Jersey one.
I rest my case, Patty.
Okay, thank you.
2-all add. Back to deuce.
I love it. I'm loving Bessonova and Buiukian's fight in this match today. They've shown a lot of progress since I last saw them play.
Yeah, they had a pretty good showing, I would say, at the Charities in Chicago, I thought. I think they lost in the third set against Halbor and Jackson, right?
Yep.
It's a pretty good match. They had a good run in that tournament. When I watch Buiukian play, I really think that she has come a very long way. We kind of used to play a little bit together when she was still teaching at Essex Fells Country Club, and to see how much she has developed her game, her backhand drive is amazing. I think she's definitely becoming a great player.
Lynn, could you do the Corient read, and then we'll go back to talking about Anya?
Yes. Corian is excited to partner with the APTA because whether as advisors to our members or as members themselves, they are already part of the APTA community. Learn more at www.corient.com, the official wealth sponsor of the APTA.
Yes, so she's improved. Sorry to cut you off there, but, we love our sponsors. Got to give them their due.
Definitely.
On a Zubori serving. Big swing from Vera Bessonova out of that deuce court.
I would like to see, I was watching Vera a little bit too in Chicago, and I would like to see less missed returns from her side. Coming back to that forehand again, I think she can really do some damage with that forehand, but I think sometimes a few too many loose errors on it.
So you have to find that fine balance when you're going to, the risk reward. I mean, I saw you hit a rocket recently off a floor serve at Zubori, and I hadn't. But the thing is, you don't play that way all the time. But you pick your spots, and when it's the appropriate shot, you can go lights out. as well as anyone in the women's game. But I thought, and the thing is, but a lot of times you don't drive that hard because there's not a need to drive that hard, even though you could make them.
Correct. I think it's also, like you're saying, you don't need to drive that hard. It's really, we just need to get into the point.
Okay, there we have. Is that the first? I think that was the first behind the back. I thought we'd have at least 5 in this match. I'm on the wrong side of my bet with Macy.
Best behind the back in the women's game for sure.
Yeah. Lynn, do you have any update on men's play today?
Yes.
Any
So
quarterfinal results come in yet?
the
that you'd love
quarterfinal
to
results
share?
for the men.
Sure.
All right. So Humphreys and Osses Koenig beat Pertsenko and Volclair 6-4, 6-1. And the other quarterfinal, Dubic and Salazar beat Gregorovich and Ostojic 7-5, 6-2. And then Broderick and Pardo de Andrade beat Burush and Ong 6-3, 6-2. And then Powers and Nunez beat Christian and Pejic 7-5, 6-3.
Thank you, Lynn, for the update.
All really good quarterfinal matches.
Did you get to watch that Burish-Ong match?
I was peeping from inside the booth.
Uh-huh. And what happened out there? How come Sven didn't win?
How come Sven? That's a great question. He's clearly not doing something right. He needs to get on whatever I'm doing. He needs to follow that regime.
He needs to get on the winning train.
Yeah, it's tough. He doesn't have a partner right now. I think him and Mick were an amazing team, and it's kind of hard to top that. But I think he's trying to find a partner, and once he does, he might be able to do a little bit better. But he had a good showing in Philly as well. They lost in the semifinals there, so he had a good tournament.
Well, and that's the thing. There's so much depth in the men's game that you see a Sven Burrs in a draw, and he's out in the quarters, former national champ. They were in the finals 2 years in a row, right? They lost to Durant Mitchell 1 year, I think.
Right.
In this, so it's a matter of coming up with a combination that works, and also the success these guys have. It helps when they're friends. You see Stojic and Gregorovich. Those guys, grew up playing. They played college tennis together. You see Humphreys, Osses Koenig. They enjoy each other. You can see how much you and Macy enjoy each other on the court. That's a big component of, I think, success. You've got to have a comfort zone out there.
You're absolutely right. I just want to touch on that. That was a very important game, that deuce-ad game that we just had. And I think that's the second time that Anya has missed that nick shot. I would like to see her hug that side screen anytime that ball's going into the corner. I feel like she keeps getting caught on that nick shot there.
And see, that's where Zubori just kind of messed with Vera right there, because she holds her shot. She just waits a little bit, and Bessonova just didn't know where to go at that point, and there's nothing she could do.
Right, she does a really good job with holding that forehand.
Hanisch Zubori leads 4-3 in the second set.
And Lynn, you've made plenty of your opponents look, silly on volleys, but that's the thing, another transition from tennis into paddle, and paddle, when you hit those ground strokes, you're the ones you blaze. You're not reaching into the court to play the shot. The ball's coming toward you, where you have absolute control over, how hard you're hitting the ball. So it's a controlled swing, because the court's so short compared to a tennis court, obviously.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah, everything has to be a little bit more compact, but you're right, the ball kind of comes to you, and I don't know. I feel like with the ground strokes, especially, it's like we all know how to hit those shots. You know, most of us are tennis players. It's just having the confidence to also pull the trigger. Patty, which drive did you like when you were playing? Forehand, backhand? I don't think I've ever seen you play before, Patty. That's not okay.
I loved using the screens. Early on, I had a mentor, Hank Irvine, and you know, he advised me on. He said, "Look, you know," when he saw, you know, I was a tennis player at Rutgers, but I wasn't a power player at all. And he's like, "Oh, this is the perfect game. Just learn how to play every screen, and learn to play. You know, see if you know, learn to break down the net team off of the screen." And then your deck shots will just come to you. So I kind of approached the game that way because I didn't come out of the womb with forehand like yours or backhand like yours. So, but, you know, I could make people pay, but I definitely needed the shorter ball where, you know, it's a good question, Lynn, because I had to play until my opponents hit short. When they hit short, I could capitalize. Whereas when players hit deep to you with the power that you have in your height, they can hit a pretty decent volley, and you could still overpower that ball, where I could never do that. You're so lucky.
Great shot. Hanisch and Zubori have the momentum in their favor right now.
A lot of variety from Zubori here within this zone point.
Game. Hanisch Zubori. Hanisch Zubori leads 5-3 in the second set.
All right,
So following
Patty,
this,
you're Buiukian
after this
now.
Oh, go ahead.
You're Buiukian serving 5-3 down. What are you telling yourself?
Thank God we got the first point. And right here, I would take my time. Like this is the point. They have to grind right now the next 2 points.
Right.
Grind, like this point. They have to have it.
Backhand drive by Bessonova.
So she got switched over into that ad court, and I think, you know, just the surprise element right there. They might have forgotten for 1 second they were, you know, Vera can pounce on that short ball.
And that's the nice thing about, you know, being a tennis player. You can drive on both sides, and you can throw that surprise shot in when no one's really expecting it.
I like it. Buiukian taking charge, saying, let's go. I feel like she's in here battling, Lynn.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, Vera's got to come up with that shot. She's just got to set her pad a little sooner and throw that ball up and keep the point going.
I think we'll have to talk to Chris Humphreys about that.
If she had it again, she'd make it. Don't worry. In the moment, it's always hard. And it's always easier from sitting here watching, I find.
You're 100% correct. Look at that shot.
Buiukian can't even hit that ball anywhere near Zubori. She's just got to. I feel like Zubori's pulling out like a lot of variety in her shots.
Definitely.
I feel like she's quite comfortable.
Oh. Game, set, and match.
So that was that was a great match for Bessonova, Buiukian, Lynn. They are making some inroads here as a team. They played vastly better than when I saw them play in Chicago. Really proud of their effort today, and congrats to Zubori and Hanisch on another final appearance later on today. Next up will be a men's semifinal action at the completion of this match. And Lynn Burris, thanks so much for joining us in the booth.
Thank you for having me. That was a fun match to commentate.
All right, we'll see you on the courts again soon.
See you soon.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient. At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Hi, my name is Macy Elliott, and my tip of the week is on your roller. A lot of times when I see people hit rollers, they tend to go over the ball because they want to bring it down and create more spin. But when you do that, you're actually going to create a lot of pressure on your elbow. So a lot of times when people get tennis elbow, it's from that. Instead, I want you to go straight up on the ball and pretend like you're going to finish all the way up with your knuckles to your ear. This upward motion will create more spin and it will grab less of the ball than if you were to go over it. If you grab too much of the ball, you don't get as much spin and it's not quite as effective versus going straight up the back and finishing up by your ear. I'm Macy Elliott. Hope you enjoyed this tip of the week. I'll see you on the courts.